Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laureli Shimayo. This is the MeWe Awakening panel for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online. Today's our online panel. We have 8 or 9 practitioners today on the panel speaking about healing from narcissistic abuse. It's free to be here to listen and learn, and it's a small price to ask a question of the panel. I'll be putting all that info in the chat and maybe just a quick summary. If you want to ask a question, it's 20 to 28 sliding scale or $12 for BIPOC folks as a step of making reparations. And you're welcome to just listen and learn from all that's shared as well. You don't have to ask a question on the theme. You can ask a question on anything. As you get to know the practitioners, you'll hear that we have tons of specialties and tons of capacity to answer all kinds of different questions. We're going to have the practitioners introduce themselves so you get a chance to know who they are. We'll talk about the theme a bit as well. We all have slightly different perspectives, and practitioners know that if you don't say something and you realize later you want to say it, we'll have a chance to have you come back and say a little bit more before we jump into questions. If you do want to ask a question, if you could pay first and let us know that you've paid, I'll make sure to get you in line. That would be helpful to us. And then if you want, you can ask anonymously. You can write me what your question is, and you don't have to come up on screen. If you'd like to, though, you're very welcome to come up on screen and be here with us. Yeah, and you can change your name and all kinds of things, all kinds of ways of being anonymous if you want to do that. Just keep in mind that this is being recorded and then it will get posted online. We had one of these panels once before and extremely successful, really great questions, and we appreciate doing this all together. I think those are all the basics you need to know now. Let's go ahead and get started with the intros. Yeah, so we're going to start off with Angela and then Olna and then Kai. So go ahead, Angela. Let's get you unmuted first. Yeah, so go ahead, share about you and all that you do, and then talk about the theme.
Yeah, so I'm Angela Myer. I am the author of The Undetected Narcissist, and I also have a podcast that supports people, that answers a lot of questions like fear of dating another narcissist, recovering from psychological abuse. I cover all kinds of issues like identity erosion, and I'm an empath as well. I coach people all across the globe when it comes to dealing with narcissistic people or just difficult family members. And I work with people of all different ages and backgrounds and religions. I'm also a hypnotherapist as well and trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I have a website, it's undetectednarcissist.com, and I got blog posts and a bunch of awesome stuff out there. And my book is on Amazon, and it's really designed to answer questions that people have in terms of being confused. Because when I wrote the book, I was dealing with a covert narcissist, and I do come from a family that has narcissism as well. So I'm pretty well rounded in this area, in the subject matter, just wanting to support people so they don't get traumatized or victimized or fall into the same traps that can happen. So that's about me.
Thanks so much, Angela. Olna.
Hi, I'm Olna Sojourn, and I have a great passion around helping empaths break free from narcissistic abuse. It's a journey I'll speak more about in just a moment, one that I have personal experience with. And I have a number of different resources available to help people. I have a YouTube channel as well as an Instagram channel and some deep dive free resources such as love bombing, gaslighting, healthy boundaries, and more. So I invite you to check those out. I have an Empowered Empath program, and through that program, I bring together my skills as an empath coach, as well as my skills as a psychic and intuitive healer to help empaths who are really looking to break free from that cycle of narcissistic abuse, make that transition, support them in the deep inner healing work that will help them stay free from toxic relationships and deepen more into themselves, reconnect with themselves, and deepen into their joy. I am thrilled to be here as part of this panel on healing after narcissistic abuse. It is it's a difficult journey to heal, as I know from my own personal experience, having had a romantic relationship long-term with a narcissist. And I just get so happy when people come to these events and they hear about narcissistic abuse and they begin educating themselves, because that's such a critical step in the journey. I remember being with that relationship and just being confused and not understanding what was going on, and the roller coaster of ups and downs, and just the pain and the misery and the agony. And so knowing that there's a name for this and starting to understand what it's all about and learning about some of the nuances are really critical steps in your journey to breaking free. So I'm so happy that you're all here and that I can support you in that. And I just want you to know it's possible. All of us here on the panel have had some experience with narcissistic abuse, and we're all here today to support you. So it's very possible, even though it does not, sometimes it doesn't feel like it when you're in the midst of it. It's real tough, but it's real possible. And there's so much healing and so much joy available on the other side. So welcome, and I'm glad that you're here.
Thanks, Olna. Next, we'll have Kai, and then Henry, Crystal, Lisa, and Susan.
I'm Kai Bertrand. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna. I specialize in energy healing. That's really my specialty. My part in doing this panel today is that a lot of times people will do all the work, all the techniques, all the healing, all the processing, all the things that Olna and Angela just talked about, and they still have problems afterwards. And they're like, I've done all the work. Like, why am I still having issues? And the reason is because, metaphysically speaking, there's still an energy connection. And so you have to take that extra step and break that energy connection that still exists between you and this other person, whoever they might be, because energy connections can still be existent. They can still exist between people even after they've passed away. So you have to break those connections. So from a metaphysical point, you can either start by breaking the energy cords, and then you can do all the work that needs to be done, all that self-healing, all that self-love that you need to do, or you can do it at the end so that it's like the final breaking point. So that's my part in it, is like helping people to realize that, yes, you have a lot of work to do. It's a lot of empowerment, but there's also that one other component that a lot of people miss that really breaks the cycle completely, absolutely, and forever.
Thanks so much, Kai. I think we said we're getting Henry, Lisa. No, Henry, I don't remember. Henry, Crystal, Lisa, and then Susan.
Hello, I'm Henry India Holden at henryindiaholden.com. It's interesting that we have this today, where my first relationship that I ever had when I was 17, didn't date. I'm from Germany. I guess we didn't do that back then. Was a narcissistic person, and he just passed away. And I found out about it late last night or early this morning. So yes, even past death, he's still arguing with me a little bit about that he wasn't narcissistic. And so there's definitely a metaphysical dimension to narcissism in terms of my experience. The other person, like I've always often vilified narcissists as that they're just, incurable and they're just bad in that way because they're bad for us. Until I discovered, well, there is also a metaphysical journey that they're going through, just like I'm going through my journey, suffering the fallout from being in that relationship. And so that kind of like loosens up a little bit this box that we put people in who are narcissists. And if we even know about it, to put a box into it, put them into a box. And things like ADHD and autism and anxiety can look a little bit like narcissism. So there's a little bit more than just a person being all about themselves to know whether somebody is a narcissist or not. But I think one of the things for sure that would be a good identifier is a couple of things. One, that their behavior doesn't add up, because we have a sense of what makes sense. Like when you watch a movie and there's holes in the plot, how you notice is because things don't add up. Well, when you're in life with somebody where things don't add up, there's a good likelihood that that person is a narcissist, because you cannot make sense of their motivations, because you're not a narcissist. And then I think the big difficulty with narcissism is that they love bomb you, and love bombing looks very similar to a divine connection. And when you don't know the difference, you think that you have won the lottery rather than that you've been love bombed. And so it's a great thing to just learn what that looks like. A lot of the things that we learn, like in romance novels and in romantic movies, is actually love bombing, and it's made out to, like, when somebody really falls in love with you, that's how they act. So that's a difficulty with that. So I like to work with people in an ecotherapeutic way. So not necessarily psychologically or like with reframing or learning energetic tools. All of that is great too, but I really love to encourage people to engage with the larger, more than human world, because there's so much wisdom and so much grounding and empowerment that comes so naturally. It's like almost like you take a pill and you're better. It's just as easy as that, and it can have a profound impact on empowering you. And this empowerment, of course, allows you to be less susceptible to wanting to be with the narcissist, to hope to get that love bombing back, which you want. So that's what I have to say about that. Thank you. I'll stop here.
Thanks so much, Henry. I love hearing from all of us. It just like rounds out and deepens, right, all the layers of all this. Okay, great. I think Crystal, and then Lisa, and then Susan.
All right. My name is Crystal Novak. I'm an intuitive psychic reader. Grew up in a narcissistic environment. And because of that, created and manifested the same kind of relationships over and over again until I did a lot more therapy and figured out what the heck was actually going on. So, as has been emphasized here already, there's a metaphysical component to this as well. You could look at the karmic factor between you and this person that you're involved with. You can look at the beliefs that are holding you in place that continue to push you towards a narcissistic relationship. If that's all you've ever known, and those are your filters that you're going out throughout your life with, and everything's coming through those filters, you won't recognize a healthy relationship because you can't see it. You can't entertain it because it's not something that you recognize. So in working with individuals that are in recovery from narcissism, it's going inside and looking at different aspects of yourself that are still holding those old beliefs. Once you make a shift and let go of that, and you allow yourself to have a different perspective, then the whole system can shift, and you can, your consciousness can get to a different place where you can begin to recognize when these things are happening, when those narcissistic tentacles are creeping into your space. And you'll recognize then, okay, I don't want to be involved with that. And then once you clear, then you don't have to manifest those kind of relationships anymore. You might see them and recognize they're happening around you, but you don't have to get pulled in to do them anymore. And I think a lot of what stops us from going farther and doing that work is, especially if you grew up in a narcissistic environment, you've been so abused and told so many horrible things about yourself that it's incredibly scary to want to go look at them, because we are afraid that what if those horrible lies are true? And that's one of the first things that we have to be brave about and trust enough that we are more than what those things are that we were told. How to get rid of that old programming, how to let those old beliefs go, so that we in turn can recognize how amazing we actually are. And that's why the narcissists want you, because you have so much to give. That's what they want. They want to just suck you dry and then keep you in place so they never have to go deal with any of their own stuff. So it's how to look at all that, how to detach, how to let it go, how to become introspective with yourself and begin to do that internal work so that you can shift externally. Our external reality is a reflection of our internal reality. When you do the internal work, your external world will shift as well. So that's the kind of work that I offer, and that's what I do. And it's great to be here on this panel. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Crystal. Lisa?
Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you, Laureli. I'm Lisa Stewart of Co-Create Magic. I call myself a creative mixed medium. It's my mission to show others how to find the courage to co-create so they may reconnect with their personal magic to grow their confidence and heal. I've endured the dysfunctional hardships throughout my life, orchestrated by my narcissistic mother, then attracting more narcissists in my life. Happily, I have come out the other side. And I did this through courage, perseverance, and faith in myself. As Henry said, there's love bombing involved. Narcissists have a cycle that they enjoy putting you in, and recognizing that cycle is key. The one thing I know that's true is that narcissists are either the hero or the victim. They're never the perpetrator. And the second thing I know is true is that healing begins when you start assigning boundaries that help you regain your sovereignty. While I was surrounded by chaos growing up in my family, my personal salve was my creativity and my love for animals. My anger, frustration, and my passion for curiosity and creativity is what fueled my fire and kept my heart soft. Illustrating, making, and music was my therapy for emotional release. It was through these expressions that I learned co-creation. This transformed into successful manifestation. I have a community on Meetup, and I encourage you to join Mystic Makers Portal, where we can work together to help you reconnect your personal magic. I also create sigils to help with protection and prosperity, perfect for eliminating toxicity in your life. I'm writing a how to create your own sigils book to help you with your own healing process. If you want to know how and when I launch this book, let me know and I'll put your name on the email list. Welcome to tonight's discussion on healing from narcissistic trauma. I hope that I can be of service to you tonight. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Lisa Stewart of CoCreateMagic.com.
Thanks, Lisa. Susan?
I'm Susan Watkins with Inspired Life Essential Healing, or Essential Wellness. This panel is all about healing, so I'm just kind of feeling that healing vibe. Yeah, and there was a time in my life that I felt like I was a beacon for narcissists. I just seemed to be the magnet to attract them in my personal life, in my work relationships, friendships, and kept finding myself being like, how did I get here? How did this get like this? Feeling like it was all my fault, because that's what narcissists do. They make it be all your fault. They create situations that didn't happen and deny situations that did, making you feel unstable, like you don't even know what your reality is anymore. And it begins to chip away at the self-worth. And there came a point where I just felt like this hollow shell of a person. I lost who I was, what I was, and what I believed in. And little by little, through my own healing journey, through the use of Reiki, sound healing, yoga, EFT tapping, all of those things helped me along my own path. And I'm really honored to be able to share this space with this panel and with all of you joining today, so that we can help each other heal and help each other continue through this this journey. It's work that you can't do by yourself, and you don't have to do it, or no one can do it for you, but you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it alone, and know that you are supported here in this panel. Lots of resources out there. So thank you all for being here, and panelists too. This can be a sticky, very charging kind of conversation. It touches a lot of places and spaces. So no, this is a very safe and healing space. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Well, I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and body psychology coach. I read your eyes, read your soul, and answer questions about your soul, your path, your purpose, career, relationships, and I love to use this for matchmaking. I think that we all read eyes all the time. If you think about when you meet someone with dark sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, there's so much missing. And as soon as you see their eyes, there's so much that's there. We pick up so much about each other so quickly. My body psychology work is about helping people connect with their bodies. I also am watching all kinds of postures, gestures, and other people. To help people connect with themselves, to notice more of how they feel, what messages their body is telling them. For example, we get itches all the time, right? We notice we're scratching something. Well, it turns out that feelings happen in typical places. So if we get an itch and we scratch right there, like I just touched myself right here, this is in the anger zone. And to me, anger is about yes and no and boundaries, right? So if we touch here, we touch here, we touch here, we touch ourselves here, it maybe we're just pulled to bring our hands to ourselves. And it could be that we actually have an itch. And almost all the time, the itch is meaningful in telling us about feelings and emotions, right? So I help people be more aware of what they feel so they can honor whatever it is that's coming through them. Gosh, it's great hearing all of you talk about narcissism, talk about all your histories. So maybe let me say a little bit about how I recognize it in people. And I support people to recognize it in part because I have so much of my own history, and I'll share a little bit about my history here in a moment, is to help people find ways to not be caught in the cycle that they've been in, find their ways through this, find their ways to reconnect with their own power and honor themselves and have healthy boundaries and choose better people that don't help them fall into that narcissistic pattern that they've been in. And I think an important part of this is to not blame ourselves when we fall into this pattern, when we choose this pattern over and over again. For those of us that grew up with it in particular, I mean, this is what we knew as love. And so when we go out in the world, we're often still seeking approval and love, sometimes if it's a romantic connection, from people that unfortunately have these traits. And it's our opportunity to learn our way out of it. And I have only a few more seconds myself. Let me say, people that are, and not just diagnosable narcissists, but a whole continuum of people that don't own their responsibility for things and their ways of asking questions, not only observing people and their behavior with others, with you. They don't apologize in a genuine way. Some of them never apologize. They tend to turn around and blame you. They tend to be controlling. They all have different patterns, and they get you to a place of doubting yourself. And I'll just say briefly, So I didn't realize that I grew up with narcissists. It was a long journey for me to realize. The first time I realized I was dealing with a narcissist was when I had a tenant that was absolutely outrageously narcissistic. And I knew I'd done nothing to cause whatever was coming at me. And then I realized it was in a boss. It was in my ex-husband. I had spiritual teachers, and it's been several spiritual teachers and colleagues that have been teachers that I've realized. And then I finally got somewhere in here that it was my grandmother and a little bit of my mother. But my mom also had bipolar, and I realized borderline personality disorder. So I don't know that it's exactly narcissism, but she definitely had the empathic pattern with her mother. And with the empaths and the narcissists, there's just so much more I can say about this. And sometimes the empaths are also narcissists too, and holding up the narcissist for everyone. Well, yeah, my aim is to help people grow through these patterns, come to realize it and see it, and to step up in healthy ways. All right, practitioners, what else do you want to say about the theme today before we leap in and answer questions? Oh, and I should say the most recent person in my personal life, you all know that most of you know, I'm in a really good relationship with someone right now. The previous person that I dated that got me here into the Seattle area, I dated her briefly. I realized she's also narcissistic after I was dating her. So yeah, so just showed up recently in my life too. That was what, 7 years ago or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, practitioners, anything else you want to say before we dive in? I know we'll say so much as we're answering. Go ahead, Lisa. Oh, and Olna has something too.
Just a quick query, actually. I think it would be a great idea going forward, not talking about this group, but just population in general, is to have some kind of, I don't want to say checklist, but an awareness of narcissism. So that way, when, let's say you interface with a colleague and the rest of your colleagues don't recognize the cycle that this particular colleague is putting you through, that you get support for that, right? Because if the rest of the colleagues don't see, they're like, oh no, he's just effervescent. And I'm like, no, that's love bombing. There's that's, step number one. I want to show you the rest of the cycle so that way you can, and I feel that people are afraid to do that because they don't want to, they're afraid for, I guess, for so many reasons. And I don't want to start labeling these out. We'd be here all night. But I think that having some kind of general awareness, especially with the cycles, and educate everybody on them so that way we can be more cognizant of when they do show up, that we can go, wait a minute, there is something amiss here.
Yeah, I think it's important to have ways of talking about it where we're not labeling, because it gets a lot of people reactive, defensive, they're protective of themselves. They're not able, either the person that has the narcissistic traits, right? It doesn't work to talk with them about it that way. And then also the other people, if they're not ready to see it, they're not ready to see it, but how to talk about it, some of the behaviors in softer ways that people might be able to step in. So Crystal and Olna, I know you both had your hands up. I don't know who's
Go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, okay. It's interesting, Lisa, that you brought that up, because I was just thinking along those same lines about, we're sitting here talking about narcissists, vaguely talking about what the behaviors are, but there isn't anything super definitive that we've like hit on, like you were just mentioning, like how to recognize all those things. I think everybody sort of has a general idea about what narcissism is, but I also think there's a lot of background stuff that we don't necessarily recognize, especially when you're trying to break up or get out of a narcissistic relationships, the things that narcissists will do to sabotage you from trying to leave the relationship, like the smear campaign, where, yeah, right, where they start talking trash about you to everyone, especially friends and mutual acquaintances. And so when you turn to those people and say, so-and-so was just being such a blank to me, and they're like, oh, you just don't understand. You know, we talked to them. They really feel bad about what happened. You need to give them another chance. And so there's just a whole lot of background stuff to kind of disseminate and train yourself to recognize. I mean, it's literally an educational thing that needs to happen. So again, like Elisa pointed out, here's the signs and symptoms. You might not see all of them. You might see some more than other of them. Some are more insidious than others. Men do narcissism differently in some ways than women do. And then also the factor where we as women tend to be trained to become more susceptible to narcissism, just based on our training in our society about how we're supposed to be the emotional caretakers, especially for men, because they're not supposed to experience their relationships. We're supposed to, their emotions, we're supposed to manage them for them, which is even more crazy if you get involved with a narcissist and you're trying to manage and take care of their emotional side, especially if you're an empath. That's just like, you might as well pack a train to Crazy Town, because that's where it's going when all that stuff starts happening. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And I'll suggest some questions to ask people to identify it in a few minutes. Olna. Oh, and Henry and Angela, I'll have more things to share. Go ahead, Olna.
I wanted to comment on the journey of self-trust. It's a big part of the growth that happens when you are healing from narcissistic abuse, because when you're in that kind of a relationship, you really lose your trust in your own judgment over time, particularly if you are in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, or if you had parents that were narcissists, maybe you're starting from like square one. And when you lose your self-trust, often because the narcissist is using different manipulative tactics, like gaslighting, for example, is a classic one. And you begin to doubt yourself, you begin to doubt reality. And it becomes really tricky when you're looking to maybe get out of that relationship, or you're starting to recognize that something's not right and you know it's not right for you. Part of what happens in the cycle of abuse is the narcissist works really hard to pull you back in when things get really bad and you're just like on the brink of just breaking. They know this, and they will pull you back in with all the bag of tricks they've got, and they know just which of your buttons to press to keep you hooked. And you feel good, it feels good, it's a relief. And there's a lot of deep reasons for all of these things. But when it comes to self-trust, you can start doubting that things were really as bad as you thought they were. When that narcissist starts being kind to you and giving you the things that you were like begging them for, you start to doubt that maybe it was as bad as you thought. And I just want to encourage you to really start listening to yourself. When you're educating yourself, you're attending panel events like this, and you're learning about narcissistic abuse, and you hear things that resonate with you, you're like, oh, whoa, that happened to me. The narcissist in my life did this, or you get the, the goosebumps where you feel it, in your body, like Laureli was talking about identifying sensations in your body. I want to encourage you to really notice and listen to those things, because those are signs of your truth. Those are signs of your intuition. And if you want to make a break from a narcissist and stay free from toxic people, that is a big part of what you will learn how to do and begin to trust yourself. So I just wanted to talk a bit about that on self-trust.
Thanks so much. I think Henry and then Angela, and I know I have something else to share too. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, are you going to lower my hand? I'm going to do it. Okay. Yeah, so it's really great. I mean, we have really changed a lot. Like 15 years ago, hardly anyone knew about what narcissism is. It was just not in the public square. It was not a conversation in the public square. Plus, we had a president who modeled this, I believe. So we were able to learn a lot about it there. I think one of the things is that especially people in female bodies, so non-binary people, trans women, we are trained and we are, maybe it's endemic, I'm not sure, or inherent, to work on things. And like when something is not the way it should be, then you work on it. And this doesn't work at all with the person who's afflicted with narcissism, because they don't hold to the social contract. The social contract is that here is a reality, and we both see this reality and we acknowledge this reality. But that's not how it works with a person who suffers from narcissism. I don't know whether they don't see reality or if they just lie about it, or maybe a little bit of both. I can't tell. And so when a person can't agree that the thing that happened is the thing that happened, you can't work on what happened. And this is without fail what's going to happen. The only time a person who has narcissism will agree that they did something wrong is if that's a strategy. And it's not because it's really actually true for them, because when you suffer from narcissism, you don't experience guilt and you don't experience shame. What you do experience is injury. And so a lot of time for the other person, this sense of injury looks like, like an emotion you can work with, like, oh, the person might feel some shame. That's what injures them right now. But that's actually not what's happening. There's just a sense of injury. And then that can parade as all kinds of other feelings that make you want to be careful with them or give them another chance, etc., etc. I honestly think that if you want to be with the person who's the narcissist, be with them. This may be your spiritual journey. And if you want to be joyous and happy and free and feel great about yourself and a life full of possibility, that's not going to happen when you're with a narcissist. It's just not going to. So it's your choice. And at the same time, when I think about my first boyfriend who just passed away and another relationship, when I think about them, I don't think they were bad people. I really truly don't think so. I know they did good deeds as well. That's why I think of it more as, rather than a perpetrator, I think more of it as a person who's afflicted with something that no one would choose to be a narcissist if they got to choose it. So you can be compassionate, but it's best to be compassionate from afar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Henry.
And I'll stop here.
Yeah. Say most narcissists, all the narcissists that I've seen were also raised by other narcissists, and so they have a lot of trauma and a lot of pain themselves too. Okay, Angela.
Hi, I wanted to touch on the subject of, I really do fully agree that everyone should be educated and informed in narcissism as well as trauma and mental health, because we live in a world of polarity. And why don't we teach young minds the polarity of human beings? because we are going to encounter good people and bad people. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is these, you know, these young minds, they go out there into society. Think of it as they're going to dive into the deep end of the ocean. Well, wouldn't you want to give them a life vest or a boat, because they're going to swim with sharks, and they need to have those tools to keep themselves safe. And so I feel personally, and it is my mission to go out and do, you know, motivational speaking, talking about narcissism and trauma and attachment disorders and trauma bonding. I think trauma bonding is a big area that we don't even, you know, cover or talk about, because one of the areas that you could have been taught is you had that narcissistic parent and everyone made excuses for their behaviors and it was okay. And so when you notice yourself making excuses for their behaviors or lying about something that really happened because you have too much guilt or shame, that's keeping you stuck in a trauma bonding relationship. And as well as a lot of cultures, they think that like the Italian culture and some Hispanic cultures, they look at love bombing as, oh, he's so passionate, you know, he's got fire in him, but really he can be abusive, and that keeps you in that trauma bonding relationship. And so it is really important to educate yourself, but also look, if you're in that situation, you want to look into the 50 obstacles to leaving an abusive relationship, because I think that's why a lot of women end up going back, is because they didn't look at all the obstacles. And so they end up being forced. It could be financial. They don't want to be homeless. They, you know, he could take away, you know, the children. There's all these things you need to think of, because the number, it's 7 times, I discovered, that a woman finally breaks free from, you know, an abusive relationship. And I think the biggest key factor is they're not educated about what the obstacles are. And the smear campaign is the exact, you know, thing. I mean, they can turn your friends against you and your family against you. There's a series on Netflix, it's a documentary. It's called, what was it? I think The Sins of Our Mother. And it was about the woman that met a narcissistic gentleman that was very religious, that convinced her to kill her 2 children. Yeah. And that's on, and the woman that went to, I think, Hawaii or Maui, and it was like celebrating and partying, and it was crazy. And everyone on there that was interviewed, her beliefs were literally changed. And that's how they can groom you so well to make you believe what they want you to believe. And so I do tell people, there are shows out there that you do want to watch that can teach you those behaviors and show you what gaslighting looks like, show you what projection is, stonewalling, all those key words you need to know, because when it happens to you then in real life, it's easier to catch, you're less likely to be victimized, and you're less likely to take their behaviors personal, because you realize they're just projecting their core inner wounds upon you, and it has nothing to do with you. So when someone gaslights you, you can be like, I know what you're doing, it's not going to work, and you can just walk away. But you have that power inside of you to do it. So that's why I really feel everyone should be informed and educated about this subject, because every person on this planet is going to run into someone who's narcissistic, and everyone on this planet is going to experience indirect or direct trauma in your lifetime, and everyone is going to struggle with maybe a mental health issue. It could be anxiety or depression. We all need to better support each other, and the only way we can do that is if we're educated. So that's just what I wanted, you know, to share. That's my philosophy. That's my take on the subject.
No, it's great. It's great. I believe in revealing to people when I want to get closer. So when I'm interacting with someone that I experience that might be a narcissist, I tend to say things like, or I aim to say things like, oh, I realize this interaction doesn't feel good to me. I'm just not available for this. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. And that's what everyone should be able to do, because you can, I mean, I have some friends that are narcissistic, and they know that I care about them, and I know that they care about me, but I know how to speak my truth. I know how to set healthy boundaries. I know the games that they play, which ones do, you know, certain things, and it makes life so much easier. I say that I can love you, but I don't have to like the way you behave, or
Yep,
like
right.
you sometimes either.
That's what, yeah, dividing the person and the behavior. So I believe that the people that are behaving in narcissistic ways, they also have wounding. They're also doing their best, even though their best might be really lousy. I might choose that I don't want to be around their best. Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to say a few things. So in a non-romantic context, love bombing looks different. Those would be the people that everyone likes, but behind the scenes in their interactions with you, you don't like them. They don't interact in ways that have them seem like the good people that they appear to everyone else. Right. So it's this big contrast in front of other people and in public, and then in private with you, or someone at work that looks very different around the public and then is very different on the team, or very different as your supervisor, things like that. And then examples of questions that you can ask are, and I do hiring interviews and I go looking for this for employers. The question I ask is, what's a time that you made a mistake or experienced a failure? What happened? What did you learn? And if you could do it over again, what would you change? So I'm looking to see if they can own their responsibility, if they're really willing to share about it in a time when they really did make a mistake or had a failure. Are they willing to be vulnerable in that way and share about it? And are they able to share what they would do differently in the future in a way that they own what they would change? People that are more narcissistic tend to avoid answering the question completely, or they'll give an answer that where it's someone else's responsibility that something didn't go well, or it was the situation that didn't go well, or they'll give an example from long, long ago when of course they were younger or something like that. All kinds of ways of having excuses where they don't own their part. For a romantic interaction, as you're getting to know someone, a great question to ask in the first few dates are, you know, what things did you learn from your past relationships? What are some ways that you've grown and changed and you're doing things differently? Can they talk about that? So it doesn't have to be, you know, suspicious and accusatory, and like, these are good, healthy conversations to have. And then you want to be willing yourself to talk about these kinds of things yourself too. What are the things that you've done where you realize now you do things differently? What are ways that you've grown? What are the lessons you've learned from these things? I want to say too, those of us that tend to be more on the empathic side and have grown up with narcissists, like usually narcissists produce more narcissists and empathic people that have been more in the victim place of a hero victim and at the effect of them. And more crushed, and they're learning to regain their power. Sometimes those people can, as I mentioned, hold the narcissist up on a pedestal and think that no, they're really a good person, everyone else should like them. You know, we just had this come up at the last fair that we ran in person. And so even someone like me, like the opportunity, since I obviously grew up around so much narcissism, is to keep looking. How am I not owning my part? And I get really triggered. Is there some way that I gaslight or I blame someone else? Or like, how does, we all can do that when we get triggered, but like, how am I actually showing up in me? Like, it's so important that we keep looking. And generally the narcissists don't ask, oh, am I a narcissist? They don't actually really look at that question. So that's a way of helping us to keep cleansing any bit of it that might be in us too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we do have one really good question. So practitioners, anything else you want to share? Are you ready to dive into this really great question? All right, here we go. So I'm going to read this. And it's okay to use a person's name. So this is from Dave. And you'll all appreciate just the story that Dave is here to share. And this is great too, that this is a question from Dave, who I assume is a more masculine gendered person. Women totally can be narcissists too. We've talked more about the men, and women totally can also.
Mm-hmm.
So quick history on my situation. I was in a relationship for 3 years and began it like I found my person. She did everything for me, love bombed me very quickly. But since I had never had narcissist before, not aware of having had narcissist before, I thought it was the best thing in my life. In time, I lost myself. She demanded to be on my bank accounts. She put me on her credit cards. She was even so much in control of me that she insisted on cutting my toenails. She would accompany me to the bathroom. I had to call or text her when I got to work. Sorry if there's more. Oh, so this is the history and not the question. Let me share more. Okay, I hadn't read this yet. She would accompany me to the bathroom. Oh gosh, I had to call or text her when I got to work, every break and lunchtime, and when I got off work. She told me the only time I can ever be in control is in the bedroom. She told me that many times. I left 3 times, but always let her back in. Okay, I read some of it. I summarized, but not all of this. Yeah, so I left 3 times, but always let her back in. I couldn't do anything right. She had no more to get from me and finally left me 5 days after my dad passed in January. Since January, I've isolated myself. I won't be seen in public. I have adopted a fight or flight response to a new relationship. My self-esteem is at a new low point, and I can't seem to get out of that mode. The last thing she said to me is, "I'll never have a good life." How do I start putting this behind me? This is very scary and truly affected me in so many ways that I don't know how to get out. Thank you. And also mentioned she's very intelligent and knew how to exploit me. And I guess one thing I want to share too before we dive into more answers. Narcissists can't own their part and that they can never feel like they've done anything wrong. And so they always have to blame someone else. They always have to make the other person seem lower than them. I think it's because of their big wounding. And so saying this at the very end, the last thing she said to me is, "I'll never have a good life." It just seemed like since you were actually leaving, she had to just squash you all the way down. And even though you don't know, chances are you had something earlier in your life too that this is touching. And that's part of why this is so, so hard. Yeah, so this is a question from Dave. Yeah, okay, let's see. So we've got Crystal and then Angela. So we don't have other questions in line right now. So we can take a little bit more time answering. And if it looks like we get a whole bunch of questions come in, I'll let us know to speed up. But yeah, so feel free to take 2.5, 3 minutes in answering. Yeah, go ahead, Crystal.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for asking your question. One of the hardest things in recovery from being in a narcissistic relationship is we're so angry at ourselves. We're so mad at ourselves that we fell for what we fell for, and that we continue to let it get progressively worse and worse and worse until we're almost like sleepwalking in the world because of how this person we've gotten involved with and how we've been so abused by what's happened. So first off, I'd like to suggest if you're feeling that isolated and that having no resources and feeling just so down, I would ask you to seek a professional to work with. It feels like there's a male therapist that would be a good fit for you that you could talk to about this. And the other thing is to ask for self-love and compassion, to forgive yourself. And if you don't feel like that's something you can do immediately because it just feels too weird to ask to forgive yourself, because sometimes that's a very difficult thing for us to do for ourselves, is to ask for that. You can be willing to ask for forgiveness. And I would encourage you to turn inward and talk to your guides or to your higher power or to the divine and ask for their help. Ask them to lift this from you. Ask them to show you and bring you resources to steer you back to a place of wholeness and health within yourself. This person blindsided you in a lot of ways. Because it feels like you were living your life, but there's a whole deeper part of your life that you haven't accessed and gotten deeper into. And when she came on the scene, it's like she kind of woke that up for you. Unfortunately, she tapped into it and used it instead of exploring it with you and letting you both have a relationship that it could explore those parts of you. So there's a feeling too of letting yourself down and being stupid, and how could you fall for such a thing? So that's what I would say. Encourage you to do those things. Find a good therapist to work with, someone who understands narcissism in the background, going within with yourself, asking for forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and being open to that cleansing that can come from self-forgiveness with compassion for yourself. And if you're not quite there, to be willing to allow it to happen. And look to see when you are ready, what did you learn from this experience? Sometimes we get the crappiest things happen in our life. And when we get to a place where we're a little more balanced and have a little more space from it, we can turn back and say, okay, what's the growth opportunity that's available here from this? Yeah, it sucked sideways, but what did I learn? What is it that I know now that I won't do again? What can I do to gain from this so that I don't have to repeat this experience? So I hope this helps you. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. Angela's next.
Hi, thank you for your question. I do fully agree that you should go see a therapist, and I would find someone that does specialize in narcissism as well as someone that is trauma informed, because you did experience a traumatic event. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is it can take you a year or two for your brain to get back to normal, because your circuits got fried, because you were totally, you suffered from psychological abuse. Okay. And you might want to also look into maybe EMDR, because if she was really verbally abusive to you, you might have those trauma memories stored in your brain that causes trigger reactions within you. And you want to clear that. So, and EMDR might help you discover why you might have attracted this person in your life, because you could have struggled with self-esteem issues earlier, in your childhood, if someone bullied you. And yes, look in to see, what is the lesson that this person was here to give you? Because I like to say everyone is the teacher for someone, especially when it goes to a relationship in that area. So what you're struggling with right now is what they call identity erosion. She literally stripped away your sense of self, your self-worth. And it's hard because you have to rebuild yourself back up. And so I would recommend checking out the podcast that I have called Fear of Dating Another Narcissist. It's a 3-part series. And also the one that's recovering from psychological abuse, because there is a section about self-care, and you're going to really need to do a lot of self-care right now. I mean, that's so critical, because you're wounded. You're really, really wounded. And you need to heal from that. And sometimes we need to go outside of our comfort zone, because they strip you away so bad. I know exactly what you're talking about with isolation. I mean, I was there. It made me lose so much trust. And a lot of people don't realize this, that even victims of psychological abuse can become temporarily narcissistic, because you're stuck in your survivor brain. And that's why you could be more irritable, more sensitive, more, reactive. And there's just so much healing that you need to do for yourself. So just be kind and be gentle, and realize that this is just temporary. It's not, the rest of your life. And there's ways that you have the opportunity now to educate yourself and inform yourself. So when you're thinking about possibly dating again or meeting someone new, you'll learn the right questions to ask, and you'll become more self-aware, and you'll know what did work for you in parts of some relationships and what didn't work for you. So I know this is painful, but there's a lot that you can learn, and you can become a stronger, better person in the end. So I just wanted to, put that out there for you. So I wish you the best. Okay. And many blessings.
Thanks, Angela. We've got next Henry, then Olna, then Kai. Okay, Henry, you're next.
Yeah, David, I mean, the first thing I want to say is, my heart goes out to you. I can just, from the description, I can just see what you've gone through. And interestingly enough, the first thought I had is, thank God she left you. So in the worst case scenario, the worst thing didn't happen, that you left her, and then you would have to go through the fallout of that. That's slightly worse, even the smear campaigns and all of that, where, Yeah, so you didn't experience that. So that's like a tiny bit of a silver lining. But I think you can compare yourself perhaps to someone who's been on the front, who's had to learn to kill, and who's been in this tremendous trauma. You've been in probably a lot more trauma than you may even realize. And you probably, I wouldn't be surprised if you had PTSD. And so I think that, it's only been since January. And again, I'm not a therapist, but because I was in a relationship with narcissists, I've become educated, deeply educated on narcissism. And I mentioned this, so I want to invite you to become deeply educated on it, not just in terms of how to spot one, that of course, and what they do, but also what it does to the person who's on the receiving end, so that you can really understand and identify what you're going through. So naming things really helps, and I completely concur. Of course, seek out a therapist who specializes, or at least is one of their specialties, to work with people who've experienced narcissism. But what I want to say is that briefly, that coming from an ecotherapeutic viewpoint, so ecotherapy is healing through nature, and the more modern kind of ecotherapy is healing through a relationship with, rather than just using nature as an object to make you feel better, like a warm bath makes you feel better, but actually to have a reciprocal relationship. So especially because you're isolating, this would be ideal for you. Like, for example, my dog passed away a few months ago, and that was very, very saddening for me. We've been together for almost 2 decades. And every other day I go to the park, and I've learned there are certain trees that I've met that I have a much stronger connection with. And so I'm not just in the park and the greenery and the trees, but actually having personal individual relationships, because you and we are part of nature. Like, we would think we're not, we've forgotten with this industrial technological world, but actually we are part. We were born on this planet, we grew from this planet. And so the planet itself has healing properties, and the trees, who are hundreds of years old, who have so much longer of you than we have wisdom to give, and they convey that in ways that are obviously not verbal. Everybody has their own way of receiving that kind of communication. So I really recommend that for you, because it's hard to change your psychology very quickly and get beyond the suffering very quickly. The reframing and the recovering and the healing, the PTSD, that's a journey. That's a journey, and I recommend that you don't date for probably at least another 9 months, so that you can get to healing more, because the amount of distrust that you must have, reasonably so, would really interfere with making the divine connection that we all seek. So I don't know how spiritual you are. Certainly the divine is a great healer, and through nature, it's the easiest way to access the healing. And if you want to know about ecotherapy, 12,000 people were in a study in England, and whether ecotherapy helps them. And over 50% of the people's, their anxiety, if they had anxiety, improved, and their depression, if they had depression, improved. So ecotherapy is a proven and powerful, and I recommend it for you.
Thanks, Henry. Olna.
Hi, Dave. I'm glad you're here. And your question was, how do I get out of this? How do I get my life back? And I have 3 specific things that I want to share with you, and might resonate with others who are listening and in the same situation as you. But before I share those 3 things, I just wanted to echo what Crystal was saying. It's not your fault. It's not your fault what happened, how you were treated. It's not your fault. From what you described, and from what all of us know about narcissistic abusers, they lure us in and trick, and have a very good masterful set of skills in order to do that. So I just want to really make sure you hear that message that it is not your fault. The first thing that I want to share with you about how you can get your life back is I see you surrounded by a powerful energy, a powerful guide, and the information that comes forth from this is a suggestion to you, an invitation to you to surrender, to know that you will come out of this, to allow yourself to begin to be comfortable releasing into the process of this healing journey that you are on. So allowing yourself to loosen and soften into that journey, and allow yourself to release emotions that may come up. Tears may come up. Tears are healing. So that's the first guidance for you, is to really think about getting comfortable with releasing, testing that out, trying that out, just leaning back into the power of the universe and of this guide who's got you there and is holding you there with so much love. And I think that's going to allow you to let go and move forward on this journey of healing. Number two, and this is interesting, when I heard Henry talking about nature, and you might combine the two, perhaps, whatever resonates for you. You're getting a long list of ideas here on whatever resonates with you are the things that I would suggest that you follow. I think something that'll be very powerful for you, Dave, is to take 7 to 10 minutes a day. And that's Dave's love on me time. Okay, so put it on your phone as a recurring appointment, 7 to 10 minutes every day. And I really want to encourage you to give this a go, because it may feel really awkward and uncomfortable at first. But what you're to do during that time is love on yourself. Take care of you. You take care of Dave. Now, you can do this in any way that you choose. Spirit has recommended a couple of ideas for you, and I thought that Henry's nature idea was gorgeous. That really resonated for you. Mint essential oil, working with mint. Or if you like crystals, working with a crystal called sodalite or any other blue crystal. Working with these things in a way that is a self-care ritual for you. Oh, I see that, Laureli. Thank you. Will help you step into getting comfortable with loving yourself. Doing it every day makes it a habit. Lastly, if you are looking for more, I do have a YouTube video, a 7 steps deep dive of breaking free. So I invite you to explore that as well.
Thanks, Olna. Kai.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for sharing your question with us and willing to be so vulnerable in this forum. What I would say to you is, since you're isolating, obviously, you're at the point of overstimulation where it's like everything's just too much. So what I would say to you is, baby steps, like do the things that make you feel good. Have compassion for yourself. Like sometimes I've told people, if you feel like eating the whole tub of ice cream, then go ahead and eat the whole dang tub of ice cream. Like whatever it is that will kind of get you through like the next moment, just to get that little bit of joy back, is sometimes all you need to just take the next step. I absolutely agree that therapy might be the way to go for you and is probably the best way to go for you. But if you're not ready for that, at least think about it and kind of process that and see how that might work into your life. Like, what do you think the advantages might be? Like, at least just give that some thought. But in the meantime, have compassion for yourself. Do little things for yourself. Like Olna said, like the 7 to 10 minutes of loving on yourself. It seems really weird to think about it that way, but 7 to 10 minutes could be just like, hey, put on your favorite song for 5 minutes and just dance or sing or whatever it is that brings you joy in that moment. Like, don't think about, all the stuff that happened last week. Don't think about all the stuff you have to do. Think about right here, right now. What do I feel like? And those moments of joy that you allow yourself to have, you will continue to experience them and they will accumulate. And that will get you to the next thing, because that's what it's about. It's a process. It's not, point A to point B straight shot. It's not going to be like that. It's not even close to that. There's a lot between A and B that has to happen, but it doesn't have to happen all at once. So give yourself some grace, take your time, go at your own pace, and grab those little moments of joy when you can. Thanks.
Thanks, Kai. Lisa.
Great suggestions, Kai, and everyone else, because yeah, I'm right there with you. And Dave, thank you for your question. I feel you. I understand that sense of identity erosion and the fact that, I've had boyfriends tell me, well, I am nothing without them, right? Nothing is more debilitating. Coming at it from finding your joy perspective, the self-care that I think Olna talked about. For me, when I was a kid and the tentacles would reach in and, start the cycle, I would find things that I absolutely loved doing and that I really didn't have any expectations for the end product. So it might be sketching, it might be playing music, either playing the radio, my records, or actually playing a musical instrument. Didn't matter how good I was, as long as I was playing it and I was focusing my energy. Somebody else suggested gardening. That's another great idea. So maybe capitalize on a hobby that you put down a while ago, or perhaps one that you want to pick up. Maybe it's a creative hobby. Maybe it's sports, right? You want to learn downhill skiing, go skiing. For me, when I would come home from high school, I would play the piano, but I would actually pound on the piano to get out my aggression until it turned to music. And then suddenly it was like, okay. And also making. Personally, I discovered the act of making helped to release the trauma just applying pencil to paper. So for you, it could be just immediately doodling right now, scratching, right? Coloring, that kind of thing. And then consider creating a larger project that you can focus on, because this is going to do a couple of things. One, it'll channel your energy and emotions safely. And of course, you'll have a completed project in the end that infuses your DNA. And at the end, you can say, I made that. And I remember all the emotions that I felt when I made that. So it becomes a very personal piece. And yet it becomes that token that says, yeah, this helped me move through the trauma and the anger and the frustration and the emotions that I was incurring and enduring as a result through, coming through this healing. In the end, also, you're going to start feeling more compassionate towards yourself. Nothing is more healing than getting into the flow and losing yourself as you're working on those projects. And that's when I started to learn to co-create with spirit. Suddenly spirit would kind of tap me in the ear and go, hey, you know what? You might want to use this color. Hey, you might. And then suddenly creativity starts seeping in. And it's not just about, a piece that looks, as a result of all the trauma, but it's actually a beautiful piece that you can be proud of. So that might be a suggestion I hope that you consider. And then back to Kai's suggestion, just quickly, consider getting therapy. Growing up, my mother told me that if ever I sought therapy, that she'd throw me in an institution and throw away the key. So I was scared to death to get therapy. Finally, as an adult in my late 20s, I finally got therapy. best thing in the world. And then I also found a Facebook group a few years ago. You might consider finding a group of your own. Mine was called Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. And I spent 2 weeks on there just reading all of these stories that I swear were written by me. Same scenarios, same everything. And you might get some tips because you're going to find a lot of acronyms on there. You're going to find a lot of other people who have been no contact with narcissists in their life that are going to have a ton of wisdom to help kind of guide you along. And you're going to find people who are in the same kind of muck that you are. So, maybe you can find something very similar for your predicament right now. But I wish you all the best, and I wish you a long, safe healing journey.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, Susan.
I thank you so much for, as others have said, being willing to share in this public forum something that is very personal and painful. So thank you. I really am honored to be part of this panel and a part of that healing journey for you. And to your question, as far as how do I get back to me, I think for myself, speaking from my own lived and learned experience, one thing that really brought my own sense of self and power is that one step at a time, one day at a time, just for today. And just taking it day by day, sometimes even within moment by moment within that day, and realizing the power of your own voice in the words that you speak to yourself. And as others have mentioned, putting that pen to paper and even writing down, journaling out your thoughts. I think it's pretty amazing that we're doing this on the new moon, and the new moon in Libra, which is about relationships. So relationships with yourself. And this is, kind of coming back into relationship with yourself. But it's also about relationships with other people. And maybe it's an opportunity to look at those other relationships that you have. And maybe now that you have this new awareness and knowledge, I've seen where those red flags in other relationships may have been. So that, this could potentially kind of be that catalyst that moves you in that direction of healing, of learning, of growing. And then coming to that journaling, that just for today, maybe setting for yourself perhaps an intention, an affirmation, just for today, I am. Who are you today? How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up for yourself? How do you want to show up for other people? Maybe today I am joyful. Today I am strong. I am focused, whatever that I am. And it might change day by day. It might even change within that day. But just taking that time to connect back to yourself. Just for today, I am. And just for today, I choose. Because a lot of those choices, that autonomy was taken from you. You were told what you had to do, how you had to live. And now you get that opportunity to choose again for yourself. So just for today, I choose. What's one thing, just one thing that you can choose for yourself today that fills your cup? Maybe it's going to that park. Maybe that's painting. Maybe picking up a hobby. Other things that these wonderful people have mentioned. And then the third one is just for today, I will. What is that one thing that you will do, that vow, that commitment to yourself that you will do just for you today, when all other expectations have been set aside? And maybe that one thing that you will do would be to support the thing that you chose, to support who you want to be and how you want to show up just for today, honoring that baby step. So I hope that was helpful, and I wish you much love, many blessings on your journey. You are worthy of love and a supportive, kind relationship.
Thanks so much. And someone else just wrote me a message. I know we have another question coming. Dave, I got a little bit more. Yeah, just therapy's at the top of your list. Yeah, and it's been eye-opening. I hope you're okay with just a little bit more. And benefit of going last, I can summarize my comments. So I just put them in the chat. So And some of these things have been shared by others. So we want you to know that it's not your fault. And the more that you're able to say, this was not my fault. And even what you're going through right now, this is not my fault. Right? That wasn't my fault. This is not my fault. So the more you're able to know that and feel that, and this might get you into a really sensitive and grieving, sad place. And this is part of the healing cycle. And yeah, getting support for this is great. In moments, you might feel overwhelmed by the grief and the trauma and PTSD. And so someone mentioned EMDR, tapping, and other alternative ways are really supportive things for that. Part of it is for you to notice when you feel flowed over with all the emotions so that you can know that's going on and then have some tools for stepping out of that in the moment, or know that you need more support by whatever means that is. And I'll mention some things. And I was almost thinking of it as things that get you more connected with spirit, or more connected to the ground, or just in more of a plane of joy in life right now. And I think Kai mentioned joy. So it might be exercise. It might be a form of meditation. Exercise for me, like physical activity, can clear my mind, and that can be a helpful thing, and connect me with my body. So it's grounding at the same time. As Henry was saying, connecting with nature, something as simple as going out and standing in the grass, feeling the nature below you, being aware of the nature below you and the ground supporting you. And then I mentioned animals. So when humans have been really hurtful, sometimes animals are a really good, safe place to not only feel more connected, also to connect more with ourselves. So are there any animals in your life? This might be a really good time to connect with them. If you have friends with animals, see if you can go hang out with their animals. If they'd be willing, you can go to a shelter and take an animal for a walk, or be with a cat so they have company. All those kinds of things might be really healing for you right now, so you can connect more with you in a way that feels safer. All these things, so you're not caught in the trauma right in the moments. And as you're stepping out of the trauma and you have moments when you don't feel caught in it. Oh, and by the way, I wrote down music too. So yeah, music that you love, anything that you've loved to help you connect back with joy. So that's all part of one. And then two, make a list, and it's okay if it's a short list to get started. And I'll give you some examples of really, really simple things to get started. Make a list of things that you appreciate about you. It can even be things you appreciated of what you attempted to do in the relationship, or things you did do in the relationship. Like, it's better if you don't keep thinking about the relationship. And if that's what's here, use that too. What do you appreciate about how you've shown up? It can be what you appreciate about how you show up with other people in your life, or you have in the past. Please avoid as much as you can shaming yourself for how you are right now. Right? You're going through a really tough time and a ton of trauma that you've been through. So how did you show up there? How did you show up with other people? Or simply your being in the world? What do you appreciate about who you are at your core? And if you can share a few of those things and go back and refer back to that list and remind yourself of those things about you, that would be helpful. And if you're stuck and you really have a hard time going, like if you wear glasses, just talk about that you appreciate that your ears hold up your glasses. I mean, start small, start with anything so you can get appreciation going. I know, like, people can get so stuck, and being able to be light and silly about that is really a helpful way to go. And then I strongly recommend, for those of us that have been through lots of trauma, it could be, it's best if it's a stuffed animal or something that you appreciate that's cute. It could be a little pillow, but go find something that can represent some form of little you. It can be you when you're younger, or just you when you're so much pain. Because what this is going to start to do is, one is, if you can be compassionate and caring with this being, it's being compassionate and caring with you. And then also it's starting to separate out you as an adult that has more resources from the you that got so crushed by this person, right? Or so crushed by someone else earlier that you might not even know what this is yet, right? And so it's a way that you can get into this tender, loving place with you, and not shaming and being upset with yourself. And it's healing. The more that you're loving and healing of this little part of you, it's healing of all of you. So those are some things that you can, steps that you can do to help you move through your journey. All right. Yeah, and I'll get the recording up as quickly as I can. Yeah, I have to get to the high-speed internet to get it up. Anyone else have anything else left to share with Dave? Just any things to pull together from having heard all of us? And Dave, this was a great question. Thank you so much. So much great advice for everyone. Henry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, it's already been said several times, and I feel like if I'd heard it more times, it would have helped me. So maybe it'll help you to hear it more times. This wasn't your fault, none of it, not any part of it. Every single fight you had wasn't your fault. Every single time you did something wrong and this person made you feel bad, it wasn't your fault, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were being a human being. And even if you did something wrong, that's not you doing anything wrong. We all make mistakes. That none of that is a justification for being mistreated. Every little bad thing that happened to you in this relationship is not your fault. It happened due to the condition that they're afflicted with. Nothing to do with you. So I don't know how you can convince yourself of that, but I think this should be like your job one, to convince yourself this was not your fault. Because see, we normally want to work things out. We normally want to compromise. We normally want to see the other person's side and see our side and kind of get to some kind of a consensus or some kind of a resolution. But none of that's possible in this kind of situation, because the other person is the cause for all of it. So that's an impulse for you to, like, I invite you to let go of this impulse to see the role you played in it, that it takes two to tango. Not in this kind of situation. It doesn't take two to tango. It takes one person who's doing it to the other person, and it takes one person to whom it's being done. And that's all that's going on. You literally, like, were you not confident enough? No, you were. Were you not smart enough? No, you were. Were you not, didn't stand up for yourself enough? No, that's not the case. None of this, nothing you could have done would have made this better. It's truly not your fault. Truly not. And you should have seen it coming? No, also not. Unless you're totally educated on what that looks like, you can't see it coming. Not your fault.
I want to say a paradox about this too. While owning it's not your fault doesn't mean you're blaming the other person. And owning that it's not your fault also doesn't mean you can't learn so that you make different choices going forward. All these things are so. Yeah, great. All right, thanks so much, practitioners, and thanks so much, Dave, for your question. All right, we do have another question. It's from Monica. Monica, do you want to come up and share your question here? If so, turn on your video and I can put you on spotlight, or you can simply unmute and you can say it. And if you want, I can read it. I just need to know what you want. See, do I have only one Monica here? Yeah, I might have only one Monica here. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Do you want to share, or do you want me to say? I want to make sure you can hear. Yeah. Do you want to say what's happening, or do you want me to read?
I can say it.
Okay, and if you want to, you can come up on screen. You don't have to.
No, because I don't know if he's actually going to walk into the room or not.
Yes, to say, do you have enough privacy? Do you feel okay right now? Do you have enough sound privacy?
Yeah. So he's an alcoholic. There's actually somebody in the group right now as a guest that's a friend of mine, and she recommended this to me. But anyway, he likes to attack my family verbally. And I think the reason I stay is because I keep self-sabotaging myself by doing things for others and not saving my money and stuff to get out. And
are you saying that you've been using your money for others? Is this person convincing you to do that?
Not so much, just like my mom. My mom, who I also think may be narcissistic.
Yeah.
And I have an autistic adult daughter that I help take care of. But anyway, so I'm just trying to figure out where to start for myself to get myself in a better frame of mind so that I can deal with this, because he's jealous, he's controlling.
Yeah.
And not just with my friends and my family, but also my job. If I have to do things for my job, he tries to convince me, you know, that I shouldn't. And I have a small business on the side. And he tries to input himself into that as well.
And what did you say
and
about your job, that someone convinced you something about your job?
he tries, when I'm asked to do things that he may not think is part of what my job should be, he tries to tell me that I should tell my boss I won't do that, or
Okay.
and things like that. And
I say, is he someone you've been dating too, or simply a roommate or a landlord?
No, he's we've been together for almost 12 years now.
12 years, you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
And just who owns the place where you live?
He does.
He does? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said you have a child? You have a child that's on the autism spectrum?
Yeah, but it's not his. She's an adult.
Okay.
I just help take care
Yeah.
of her.
Yeah. Yes.
And I help take care of my mom because she's not ill or anything. She just has a lot of issues. She hoarded in her home and destroyed it. And I used the money I had to help fix that up, which isn't even completely done yet. And I helped her get out of, and I didn't do it financially, but I helped her get set up and stuff on paying off her bills and things because she had hoarded herself into debt. And she turns around, like after it all happens, I'm trying to help her. And this is where I think I'm just following the fun stuff from when I was a kid, because she does the same thing. She left when I was a kid. She was also an alcoholic and a drug addict back then. And left me with my dad, who was physically abusive. But as soon as I got her, like, bills, helped her get the bills all caught up and everything, she turned around and she went and bought like a brand new car that she didn't need, because it's just I just feel very trapped, and I want to find a way to get myself in a better place. And I've tried to go to counseling, but I'm kind of even scared to do that as far as go, because it's like every second that I'm not supposed to be at work, it's like checking up on me. What are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you talking to?
Right. So much
And
control.
and I tried to get him to go with me one time, and he did, and he went off on this tangent about how he thinks everything is perfect. And when my family and stuff and things happen, it's always about how much it hurt him. For an example, I have two daughters. My eldest had a baby, and she gave it up for adoption because of circumstances. And yes, it hurt because it was my grandchild, but at the same time, all we talk about is how much it hurt him, not how much it hurt me or hurt my daughter or the situation, just what it did to him. And I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, so I want to mention a few of the things that you said and what you wrote too. You said that, right, you're afraid of where you'll go. He gets very upset and jealous, right, with spending time with friends and family, right? Just like he's asking about every hour, right? Where are you? What are you doing? And yeah, so you're asking like, how do you, some other addictions he has, but yeah, so how do you unwind? How do you get yourself out of this? Is what you're, I want to say being here and asking this question, and then in what you initially wrote, you said that who you think might be, right? Various people who you think might be a narcissist, simply that you're on this call, that you've been willing to ask, and that you're, right, exploring this question, like you're saying, he is, and you're wondering about your mother too. These are all steps that you're taking right now that are helping you heal and helping you unwind this. So there's more that we'll share, and what you're doing right now is one of those steps.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you able to can you feel yourself breathing right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Let's see. So again, we might have more questions come in, everyone. So let's aim for the 2.5 minutes, and I'll do better with letting you know. Angela's first. Okay, go ahead, Angela.
Monica, I feel your pain. I have been there, and luckily I have to say you're not married to him, and luckily you don't have a child, with him that he could take you to court, because that would be the biggest thing I would look at, is him taking you to court could be really, really scary, and that's a whole other conversation to have. So what I would really start to look at is creating a game plan where you can leave. And here's the biggest thing I want to say, which is you've got to take this seriously. You might not want to tell some of your family members or friends that you're going to do it, because they could tell him, or he could weed it out of them, and then your plan fails. Okay. And so like here in Oregon, I know there's a place called the Center for Hope and Safety. I would go talk to them, tell them about your situation, because they might be able to find a housing place for you to go to, and they might be able to find you resources. So when it comes to you, like actually leaving, you want to have all your ducks in a row. You want to make sure that as soon as you do that, the bank accounts are changed, the credit cards are changed, your business, the doors are locked, it's changed. Okay. Put up, some security cameras. So if he tries to go there and he vandalizes your business, you have him on camera. Okay. You want to think of everything you can do. And if he makes verbal threats to you on your phone, there's a free voice recorder app. You can record literally those threats, and you can possibly get a restraining order, but you have to show proof. So that voice recorder is great. If he ever physically harms you on Amazon, you can get a picture frame that actually has a video recorder on it. And and it's really cheap. It can be as low as like $30. And so you can use that, put it in your house somewhere. If he's, it will be evident, documented proof that he's being abusive to you. Just really, you want to be really, really smart on this. And it might really help you too, to go talk to, I know you talk to a counselor, but here's my experience. I went to 3 different counselors that did not know about narcissism or were not trauma informed, and I wasted my time. I literally wasted it. They did not know how to support me. You're probably struggling with PTSD right now, so you're not coming from the best faculties. You're not able to access your cortex brain like you need to, because that has to do with rational thinking. You're stuck in your survivor brain, because literally you are. You're in a really unfortunate situation. And so I would be really, really savvy about it. Maybe write down what you want to do, what you need to do, so you have a checklist of all the things. So when it comes to that time, you have everything covered. You don't want to miss any steps when you leave, and you don't want to let them know where you're going. So you might have to get a separate phone, so then when you leave, he doesn't have your phone number. Okay, so my time's running up, but I just wanted to throw that out there, because I really want you to be safe, and I want you to get all the support you can get. So I send you lots of love, Monica. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great advice. We might have time. We come back to Kai is next, then Olna, then Lisa, then Henry. Go ahead, Kai.
So Monica, a lot of what you described is like ticking all the boxes for me, as far as domestic violence type stuff as well. So I absolutely agree with a lot of what Angela said. Do not tell anyone what you are planning to do. No one. The reason is because people will sometimes say things offhand and not even realize what they've done. So do not tell anyone until you have your plan in place. And then, but there's certain people that you should tell once you have stuff together, like your boss at your job. That is a person who you must tell, because if you suddenly disappear, they need to know why that happened. You know, let them know that it's not due to anything having to do with the business, but it is because of your safety. And that is my biggest concern, is like, I've seen women who try to get away and something happens and they get caught, they get beat up, they end up in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. So in order to avoid that, the number one thing is you tell no one. And number two, you reach out to people who specialize in domestic violence extractions, so that they can tell you exactly what steps to take and when to take them. And then they can actually help you find a domestic violence shelter where you can stay safely. And again, you tell no one, you change your phone number, like any tracking software you have on your phone or your computers, your electronics, all that stuff needs to get shut off.
I just want to say, so she has a friend on this call. So she has a friend that supported her to get here to ask this question. So she has one friend that knows about some of this. And then how do you support people? How do you recommend people, they don't isolate themselves from the people in their lives that really are supportive, right? They need to be safe. And at the same time, they need to cut all this. So just any comments about that?
Well, what I would say is, you know, you still act like everything is normal. Just play it out until you're ready to make the move. Like until then, don't make any obvious changes. So it'll be the stuff like, you know, you might change your credit card number and nobody knows about that. You might like, oh, I lost my phone, I need to get a new phone, kind of stuff. You know, just do everything in such a casual fashion. And the people that you know you can trust, those are the people you can say, hey, can you go do this for me so that nobody knows that I did it? I mean, it's good that she has at least one person that she can depend on, but that is the only person. Like, tell no one else, because all it takes is one little slip and the whole thing goes downhill. Because I've seen it happen and it's really horrible, because when people realize that you're going to leave them, especially in a situation like that, then it can escalate really quickly. So do not, you know, don't be overexcited about it. Just take your time, make your plans, get your support system in place, and then make your move. Because that's the safest way to do it, because the really hard stuff happens after you leave. That's when they really go into overdrive, is after you leave. So you have to make sure that all the stuff leading up until that point is perfect. And then you can actually deal with the hard stuff that will come later.
Let's just wait.
So that's what I have to say.
Wait, let's just wait, everyone.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. Are you all right?
Yeah. I just walked in, so I was trying to get to a different room.
Yeah, take your time. Can we talk? Are we okay to?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm still listening to you. I have an earpiece.
Okay, great. Someone else is unmuted too. Okay, I didn't see someone else was unmuted. No, that person's muted now. Okay, great. We heard background noise. I want to make sure you were all right. I just want to say, Angela mentioned too that your friend might be able to help you get things set up to leave. If you have one person you can trust, that's so careful. And then Angela also mentioned something about having tracking devices to see if you have tracking devices on your phone, car, or anything else, so that this person is not following you. That's important too. Okay, great. Let's see. So next in line, we've got Lisa. No, we have Olna. Olna's next. Go ahead.
Monica, I want to share a couple things with you. First, I want to let you know that I hear what you said about the counseling and how the narcissist, your partner, went to counseling, and that it was actually very damaging for you. And I'm so glad that you recognize that it was damaging. I think that's an important point for everybody on the call. So I just wanted to mention, if you're going to seek counseling, it's usually more effective if you go on your own without the narcissistic partner, and to be sure to find a counselor that is informed on narcissistic abuse. And also, I agree with what Angela mentioned before, trauma informed.
I'm trying to see if we have anyone else that's unmuted, but I don't think so. So that's why I'm just trying to watch. Okay, that's just what you have in the
Shall I?
background.
No, I have more. I wasn't sure if I should continue. Shall I
No,
continue?
I just-
Yeah. So Monica, I want to echo what all of the panelists have said here so far. You asked us, where should I start to get myself into a better frame of mind? I feel trapped. And I hope by me, the third panelist, saying that I think that you need to make an emergency exit plan will really hit home to you how strongly we all feel that this would be the solution that you're seeking as far as getting yourself into a better place. There's been a lot of really wonderful suggestions to you about putting together an emergency plan and the specifics that are on that plan. I want to encourage you to come back to the recording of this event and make that checklist that Angela talked about. We're giving you a lot of information, but you can come back and make that checklist. Domestic violence shelters and domestic violence organizations, also you can find emergency exit checklists online. If I were you, what I would do is take everything that we've shared with you and then pull up one or two other checklists that you find online and just like make a big checklist for yourself. And like everyone has said, I want to reiterate the importance of this. Don't tell anyone beyond your one friend that already knows. You might want to consider setting a date for yourself, just like in your mind, right? Like I want to leave whatever in 60 days. So you have that on the horizon and you're making your plan towards it. That's going to help your frame of mind because you know that you're working towards the goal and that's going to help you. Make sure, you keep that checklist somewhere where he's not going to find it, right? That's very, very important. So you got to figure out a safe way to do that. I also heard you say that you had been spending money on others. And I want to suggest that where you can quietly, secretly tuck away some of that money for yourself instead of spending it on others and make yourself an emergency fund. Okay. Those are my additions and my resounding, strong agreement with making an exit plan for yourself. You've got to get yourself out of that situation. We can hear the fear in your voice and the pain in your voice, and you do not deserve to be in a situation like that. And we really want you to be safe and to be able to move on from this. In the meantime, as you're preparing, one thing that I feel Spirit suggests for you that will help you is using salts. So if you have a bathtub, you could take a bath in salts, either Himalayan salts or Epsom salts. I see that, Laureli, thank you. And if you don't have a bath available to you, just take some salts and use it in your shower. It's a way that's going to help. It's going to help you feel better. It's a healing strategy for yourself that'll help you feel better in the moment, in the day. It'll be a little lift for you to help take some of that negative energy off of you. We care about you so much, and I'm really glad that you're here.
And I don't want to thank you. I know you have so much to share. Maybe I just, those of you that already shared, if there's anything briefly, just based on the things that you've shared before we get to everyone else, I almost wonder sometimes that instead of taking 2 months to plan things out, since she doesn't have kids, I don't know how many things are in her house that are so important to her, but there might be ways to just find a way to withdraw all of her money and just get out immediately and go if a domestic violence shelter will take her. So if anyone wants to say anything about that briefly, so working with a professional and working with the professionals at the shelters or the therapists that specialize in this to know about whether to do that and how to do that, or what are the most minimal things. I just want to throw that in as that might be a possibility too, if it's this bad. Any of you that have spoken already, do you want to say anything about that, given you were talking about planning? Go ahead, Kai.
Most of the time for domestic violence, when they do exit plans, they tell you like, don't worry about your stuff. Just take what you absolutely need and then leave. Like if it's that quick of a thing, like if you have the cushion, like it's not so urgent, you can like have friends take some stuff, or you can have like a little storage unit or something like that. But if it's something that if you want it to be a surprise, so that there's no indication of that this is coming, that you take nothing, that you literally just take the things that are most important to you and you walk out the door with them that day, knowing that you'll never see any of that stuff again.
Right,
That's
go to
what
the
they
bank,
advocate.
right? Make sure you can get your money out of the banks, and then
Yeah, but I mean, like just for taking stuff out of your house, like, because so you can't take furniture, you can't take grandma's rocker with you, none of that stuff, none of it. It's like you take your clothes, you take what's most important, and you leave.
Just be me and my dog.
right.
Yeah, like if that's what your priority is, that's what you take. Because even your clothes, it's like you can buy more clothes. It's like you just take what's the most important thing. So for you, it would be you, your dog, and for some people it's like family pictures, but that's it. That's
right,
it.
and making sure that he can't spend a bunch of money on your accounts and things like those, the very few most important things that you have to block. Just okay, Angela and Olna, anything else you want to say about that?
I never put him on any of that.
Good.
It'll make it easier.
Yeah, I said my aunt and my cousin, sorry, like they left when my uncle, sorry, it's my uncle that abused me too as a child. So it's like he went on a business trip and they took everything they could fit on the plane trip and that was it. Yeah. Layers of stuff back. So Angela wrote, yeah, no one, he will not be home. And clear out the stuff, have a friend. You can have an officer available. So this is where it gets tricky with narcissistic violence. If it doesn't get physical, some of the things are available in some jurisdictions and some are not. So I think that gets a little tricky in sorting out what you have access to. Yeah. Sorry, Olna, Angela, Kai, anything else? And then we'll go on. We've got, I think I told the two, we've got Lisa and Henry and Crystal.
So as I said, she could start gifting some things of hers to one of her friend that's on here, and the friend can hold it for her. So if there's something that she really, really likes that is afraid he's going to destroy, because that's the problem, is when you don't take some of the things that you really, really love, they like to punish you. So they're going to throw all your stuff outside the house and they're going to damage it and they're going to break it. And that's traumatizing in itself, the way that they like to destroy your stuff. So, so yes, she can ask for, if he's not going to be there, ask for a friend can do it and have an officer there. Just say, I need, and just kind of, if you have domestic violence, say, hey, this is domestic violence. I just need to clear some of my stuff out. He's supposed to be gone for an hour. You could just pack, pack up as much as you can, take pictures, photo albums, you can't take big stuff, but I mean, if you have someone that has a truck or just rent a U-Haul and just really quickly do it. And the officer will keep you safe. He will literally, help keep you safe. So if he does show up, it's like, hey, just let her get her stuff and leave. And so that's another, thing as well. And if you go to a domestic violence shelter place, they might have some of the other women help her out, like packing her stuff. She might have I know they're complete strangers, but these women are in the same exact boat as you. And they might be like, hey, tell me the day and the time you need us to be there. We will do that and we will help you out.
There are volunteers too that help.
Yeah, there's volunteers is what I mean, that can help her, do that. So
just Monica, as you're sharing, if that's him in the background that we're hearing, and all the ways that you said that he's so controlling and jealous, I feel concerned, and so that's why sooner might be better.
Yeah, that I think sooner would be better. I wouldn't wait 60 days. I clearly would not. I don't even know if I would wait 30 days. And I do agree to create that checklist because it gives you hope. It gives you something to look at to remind you every day that I'm getting the hell out of this crazy town. in this crazy relationship. So just, do it.
Kai.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick. In a situation that I dealt with previously, the person who was trying to get out, she was prepared to do that. Her family was supportive of that. But the day that she was trying to get her stuff out, it turns out that the guy she was with had the neighbors watching her. So as soon as she was trying to get stuff out, the neighbors called him and then he showed up. So be conscious of that as well.
All the people that can be roped into that person's
last
plan.
year he went.
Hmm? Go ahead.
Last year he went a little like crazy about people breaking into the house, and he put up ring cameras, and cameras are like on every corner of the house. You cannot move
Oh,
the
wow.
side of our house without seeing somebody.
Yeah, see, so that backing up the truck and taking some stuff might not be possible. So you might have to just be willing to let go of some stuff.
Maybe shut down the electricity of the house and shut down the internet and shut like all the things but he might notice when things go off too. So yeah.
Well,
So yeah. All right, let's go through some more answers. So get more help because there's more than we can do on this call. So we've got Lisa, Henry, and Crystal. So go ahead, Lisa.
Monica, I've been where you are, and it's absolutely devastating. And I had to leave without my stuff because the most important thing right now is you. That's it. You and your dog. So, yeah, sooner rather than later, like probably within the 24 hours, this next 24 hours, get your dog. And maybe it's a matter of you telling him, she's not feeling well, I'm taking her to the emergency vet. That's your escape route, right? And get the hell out. Take her, take your money, take grandma's favorite necklace, whatever it is, it's very tiny, that's absolutely not sounding off alarm bells for him going, oh, you're leaving me and I'm just going to be this monster. Because guess what? You owe him nothing. So take your dog. Don't be afraid to call 911 if you have to. If you're leaving within 24 hours, get the hell out. Don't be afraid to call 911. Have it as an emergency dial. Don't be afraid to get a restraining order. So you've already got your separate bank account. That's great. When this does go down, do not engage, do not react, because that will just inflame him. Say nothing in response. Don't just pretend you're listening to music in your head, your earbuds. Take your dog, just leave. Okay. This is about you, and you can only do this once. There's no do-over here. All right, sweetie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I want to just say this too. There are many people that get caught in the cycle multiple times. And so there's always another time. And this can be the last time.
Yeah.
Anyone too. Okay, great. Henry and Crystal. Henry.
Monica, my heart is with you. And a couple of things that, I second, of course, everything everybody has said. And what keeps coming into my mind is that your question wasn't how to get out alive or with your stuff. Your question was, if I understood it correctly, and if not, you just correct me. I thought you asked how you can get to a better place. And so what I heard, what I thought that meant was what advice we might have that in the situation that you're in, you could feel better. And is that part of it? Was that
I want to feel stronger so that I can make those steps, because I don't feel strong enough to make them.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's like all this is really gold, everything you heard, like when you get to that point. And right now, my fear for you was, I'm an empath, like many people here are. My fear for you was that you didn't have the power to execute. And so what I did is I pulled a tarot card, and can I do some screen sharing, Lorelei?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay, great. So I pulled a tarot card because sometimes I just say, like, I don't have anything precise that I can say to you here. Like, how can I help you be stronger? So I was like, well, I'm going to let the divine do it. And the divine is easy for me to access through the cards. So this is the card that I pulled. So I hope, are you able to see this card?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really interesting card. This is a deck I created. It's tarot and oracle, and so this is one of the oracle cards, Limina. And so you can see this person has to make a tremendous effort to leap, right?
It's okay, guys.
So I see that being you, this tremendous effort.
Wow.
And so one of the things what you can do is, so limina is about the liminal spaces. So a liminal space is an in-between space, but even a little more subtle than that. It's like you're over here and then you're over there, and in between you could think is the liminal space. But actually what it is that you're over here, and then there's this space here where you get to that you can leap. You get to that you can leap. And that's the space that you're looking for. Getting to this place where you can actually make the leap. You obviously know how much effort it's going to take and how much power and strength you'll need. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have gotten on this call and wouldn't have asked the question that you asked. So you are ready to get to this liminal state. So why I'm making such a big deal out of it is because these liminal states, these very subtle in-between places, are almost imperceptible. So when you sit with yourself, you probably can find, would you say that you can find a few minutes here and there where you're not being bothered, where you can just sit with yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's usually at work. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's great. So when you find this, like on the toilet or wherever, when you find this quiet time, you can like go deep, like drop into yourself, which is not easy because of where you're at. I understand, but like take some slow breaths, like just a slow breath that helps to raise your parasympathetic tone, which is calming. And you can just ask yourself, Monica, are you ready? Are you getting there? Are you getting to this place where you can initiate this leap and initiate all this stuff that's been so powerfully shared with you? So you ask yourself that, and you will be surprised that something within you will answer you. And it will either say yay or nay, or I'm not sure.
Henry, we have time, so see how you can wrap.
Okay, thank you. What you're looking for is curiosity, that this part of you goes, what do you mean? What is this liminal state? What is this in the in-between state? Because this curiosity is going to help you get there. Because right now you don't even know that there is this preamble before you can even make this leap. You don't even know it yet. So I'm introducing that to you. So remember this card. When you get this recording, look at this card again and think about and ask yourself, am I ready yet? How about today? Am I ready yet? This in itself will help recalibrate you psychologically.
Thanks, Henry. Hey, Crystal, next. And Monica, I know that we're sharing a lot with you. My hope is that you can go back and watch again. I'll get the video, the recording uploaded soon. And then also your friend is listening. So I hope your friend is taking some of this in. And yeah, the resources will be available when you
I'll be back tomorrow. Okay.
Sorry, are you still here?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, the friend, that was the friend. Okay. But so we've still got a couple more answers for you, if you can
Go.
I'm trying to track everything here. Okay, great. I think so. Crystal's next, and then I know I have something brief to share. Okay, Crystal, you're muted.
Hi, Monica. I'm really glad that your friend,
Hi.
got you to be here today. This is, you asked for divine intervention, and here it is. There is a window of opportunity available for you to be able to make this change and to leave. I can feel the energy building and building, and I believe if you sit for a second, you can feel it as well. You're getting close to like that critical mass point where like a bubble will pop, or you can make that leap and make that choice. And I feel like you're getting more in touch with your strength and ability to go forward. If you were to turn to the universe and say, yes, please, I want to do this, I want your help, you will get the support that you're looking for. You can be guided to the places and things and people that you need to go to. It feels very strongly that the divine is at your back for this, that they want you to make this shift and they are supporting you. You simply just have to ask for help. That's part of the agreement of being here about free will. So I would highly encourage you to do this, and way sooner than later. I mean, within 24 hours, if you can do it, get gone. And I think the idea about the dog's sick and I need to take him to the vet immediately, whatever, that could also, that way, some of the emotions that you're feeling, maybe the nervousness and stuff, that can be then, the dog can be the excuse for why you're acting emotional or why you're upset. That can be your cover, if you will. That's a great way to get out of the house. There's nothing there that's worth more than you. As to your friend that's helping you, awesome. Friend, I hope you have security cameras set up around your house. I hope that this, I hope this guy doesn't know where you live or know who you are, because he's going to naturally figure out you're the first person to come talk. Okay, good. Because you would be the first one to come and visit.
Yeah.
There's nothing rational about dealing with somebody who's into domestic violence and controlling you. You can't sit down and talk to them. There's nothing there to talk to because the person is not in charge. The craziness is in charge. You need to get out. You need to get out. Okay?
Yeah.
You are very valuable inside. You don't realize this, but you have a great gift to give to everybody else. And you haven't been able to do it because you've been wrapped up taking care of everybody else. But now this is your turn and this is your time. You need to get out. You need to get to a shelter where no one can find you. Let your boss know what's going on. All the practical stuff that'll be on the list, the banks, the phone, all that stuff. Turn your phone off when you leave. And if possible, park your car someplace and let your friend take you to the domestic shelter in case there's something in your car that you can be tracked with. So maybe they can find your car, but they can't find you. You want to turn into a ghost. It's like witness protection program. You want to get gone. And this is your time. They're literally, the energy is sitting right there for you to tap and use and to be able to go. You just have to pick it up. It's down to you, which is, it always is, because we have to make the choice. But I really want to see you do this, and I really want to see you get out of there and come back to who you are and open your life and have your life and do what's yours, not what everybody else wants. And I got to go because we're running out of time. So please take care.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Yeah, no, so we've got Susan. I know Lisa has Lisa, do you have just something quick? Say something quick and then Susan.
Sure. He will show up at your work. So make sure that you tell your boss and see if there's any kind of security or anything that they can go ahead and engage and prepare for, because my boyfriend showed up. I didn't even recognize him because he was so angry. So do be aware of that. Okay.
Well, I'm trying to switch positions, which would be a different location. So you
warbled. Then make both of those offices aware then, if that's the case. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Be safe.
And I'd say people, someone in the
Yeah.
chat is asking about resources for men. We're putting some links in the chat. So whoever wants to know about those. Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
Susan?
Yeah, mine's just real brief as well, because I think there's been a ton of information. Just a couple things that haven't come up yet. You do mention that you have a dog. Sometimes shelters don't accept pets. So, perhaps your friend can watch the dog for you. Also, I volunteer for a local animal rescue here, and we do specifically, I don't know where you are in the country. I know people call in from all over, but do check your local animal shelter too. I know the one here in the Seattle area that I volunteer with, they do specifically have a program or they will take animals, and they typically will put them in a foster home. So it's not like they're living in a cage in a shelter, but they will house foster a person's pet who's going through a domestic situation like this, maybe going into a medical situation. So as mentioned before, sometimes anger can be directed toward children or pets. So just making sure that your pet is safe too, and just being aware that you might get accepted into the shelter, but the pet has to find someplace else. But that there's resources for that too, whether it be with friends or the local animal rescue. Don't think you have to automatically just surrender your dog. Sometimes people do think that. So oftentimes there's a resource for that. And then another resource too that really kind of pops because you had mentioned all the previous addiction is CODA, Codependency Anonymous. They do have online programs as well as in-person programs. So that could be a resource for you too, and they are national. So I'll put a link for that down below. So much love, many blessings. The universe has got you. They've got you. They've got your back.
I'm just starting to put practitioner information in the chat again. I'll stop and just share a few more things before we finish. So one is that it sounds like your mom is also narcissistic. So I want to encourage you that even though this is a lot, you'll probably need to set some boundaries with your mother at the same time. Sometimes a parent that's narcissistic or someone else in your life that's narcissistic will shame you and get you to go back with the other narcissistic person. So you really, they aim to keep you trapped in the narcissism. So you really have to watch your relationship with your mother while you go through changing this up. And then you ask how to find the power now. So one thing that I find super helpful for people to connect to their power and their will and their fuel for this, you said that you have kids. If you had a child in this situation, what would you want for them? And what would you tell them? Right. And those are the kinds of, those are the things for you to connect with and to bring that back in for yourself. You still want that for them, and you want that for them.
Yeah.
Right. And letting you feel that for yourself. So letting that way that you would empower them also support you.
Yeah.
Right. And you're helping to heal and prevent this happening to them by taking these actions for you now. Simply by being here and realizing more of this, speaking any steps that you're taking.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Thank you.
yet you don't have to do more before you're ready. And we just want to encourage you to do what you can as soon as you can.
Thank
you. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and for letting us support you.
Thank you for everything. I appreciate it. I'm being a little quiet because he's wandering around and I went outside so that I could talk to you and hear you with the dog, but now he's wondering.
Yeah, so he's going to want to know what you've been doing. So if you can find any way of like getting on a walk with your dog, or just find some, I just make sure that your phone is off. As soon as we're done, you can come back and watch the rest on recording. So get everything off, close the app on your phone if you can. Just close everything on your phone that you can. All right. Best of luck, best strength to you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for being here with all this too. I don't think we have anyone else in line, and we are getting towards the end. So I'm just double checking. If anyone else has wanted to ask a question, I want to make sure that we don't leave you out. And maybe that we just share a little bit more about the topic as we're going to be closing up. Yeah, I don't think anyone else has stepped in. Oh, I do know. Okay, maybe that's it. Yeah. Okay, great. And if anyone wants to donate today, I don't think I have it written. Oh yeah, here's if anyone wants to donate today, we will gladly accept your donations as well, helping us have these events. And I'm going to put again, we have a drawing if you'd like to share your feedback for today, and there's a link for where the recording will be. I'm going to put the practitioner's information in the chat again too. Yeah, practitioners, we just have a few more minutes before we finish up. Is there anything that you want to share? Just anything generally about the topic? And yeah, just okay. Go ahead, Olna and Henry.
Yeah. You know, healing from narcissistic abuse is a journey, and educating yourself is a really important first step on that journey. Breaking free from the narcissistic abuse is an important second step, whether that's done by your choice or not. Having space between yourself and the abuser is critical to start being able to recognize the abuse and to start to get to know yourself again, and to really have that room to begin to do the inner healing work. So I'm advocating for people who are in a relationship with a narcissistic abuser to consider making that big, bold step of leaving that relationship, going no contact with that abuser. And I'm giving yourself that space in that room to begin the processing and the inner healing work that happens next. And I'm glad you're all here.
Thanks, Olna. Henry?
Yeah, a couple of things come to my mind. It's so strange how the relationships that are the most important to us with our lovers and our partners can be the most dangerous or fraught or difficult. And we certainly think of our partners as are supposed to be our friends. And it is so incredibly counterintuitive when they're our enemies. And it's so difficult to wrap our heads around that this person is not capable of being well-intentioned toward us. And because that's the case, the social contract between you and that person is not observed. And when the person cannot have your well-being at heart, then you are not ever going to be in a position for that to work, and you have to leave. Or conversely, perhaps this is your journey. Perhaps you decided to be born to have that experience. I don't know. Some people believe that, and that this is like some kind of a meta journey, and that's possible. But other than maybe something like this, we are all talking about leaving because you're in pain, and we want you to not have to be in pain. And that's how you can achieve that, by leaving and by realizing that this person is, for all intents and purposes, your enemy, and you don't want to be in bed with your enemy, so to speak. And one other thing I want to say is that in today's world, that we hear a lot about that how we feel is our responsibility. So like, I can't make you happy. I can't make you feel anything. It's your responsibility how you feel. This is a very new age way of thinking. And I think there's a lot of truth to it. However, when you're in a situation that is abusive, whether through narcissism or psychopathy or other conditions, alcoholism, et cetera, the research shows that how other people feel affects us. There's nothing that we can't stop that from happening. Maybe if you're a Zen master, I don't know if Zen masters cannot feel what others feel, but we have mirror neurons. We tend to feel what other people feel. So basically, if you're in a situation like this, if you feel bad and you feel undermined and powerless, that is not your fault. And there's not some trick that you've missed of how to stop experiencing that. This is what you're going to experience, and you're going to continue experiencing it. And if you're one of the people, on this panel who you're in this kind of situation and you just don't see yourself getting out because for whatever your reasons are, and I just want to say many blessings to you. I'm sending you Reiki, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you blessings, and may the divine light guide you through your life as best as possible. And barring that, do what's right for you. Don't take the responsibility. It didn't happen to you because it's your fault. It isn't. Blessings.
Thanks, Kai. Henry? Or sorry, thanks, Henry. Kai?
I just want to say something really quick, and that is, if you happen to find yourself in a situation like this, one of the things that people often feel is that they don't have, that they can't do things because other people are controlling what they're doing. So what I'm going to say here is that you have free will. If you're looking for permission to do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, to get yourself out, to change your circumstances, this is it. You have permission to do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel safe, to make yourself feel whole, to make yourself, to take those steps towards healing. If you need permission, this is it.
Thanks, Kai. Lisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things bouncing off of what Kai said. If you ever walk away from a conversation, what the hell just happened? If you walk away from a conversation wondering, am I crazy? It's not you. Also, watch out for the emotional blackmail. When you do put up your boundaries, they're going to come after you and say, well, what about me? What about all the time that we shared? I've invested in this relationship. Don't you care? Watch out for that emotional blackmail and just, gray rock them. And gray rock just basically means ignoring them. Don't engage, don't respond, poker face all the way through it and get out. The best way to shut down a narcissist is not to engage and go no contact. Be well.
See, lots of narcissists have done a lot of growth work. They can be in spiritual communities as much as other people. There's something called spiritual bypassing, which is what narcissists are doing. It's where they essentially are pretending to be more spiritual, have learned to be more spiritual than they really are, not what they've embodied, and they make it look really good to everyone. There are various teachers. I personally have some experience with them that don't own this about themselves, don't see how they have to stay above everyone else and how they tear other people down to keep them below. And so it can be tricky because part of how we can convince ourselves, oh, they must know better, and they don't. Crystal.
To build on what Kai and Lisa shared, we're not victims. That's what the narcissist wants us to think, is that we are victims, that we don't have any choices, that we don't have any power, that we don't have any way to break out of this situation. And especially when we start questioning what just happened, what's going on. You're trying to make a square peg fit in a round hole when you're dealing with a narcissist. The rules don't apply. Nothing applies. You're dealing with someone who stands outside of healthy, sane relating. So we all know we don't walk into parking garages without car keys in our hands, or you don't park here and you don't go out at night there. I mean, practically every woman or person who's feels unsafe to go out by themselves in the evenings, for example, we all know what not to do. We all know those things, and we watch out for each other if we're in groups and stuff like that. We need to have the same amount of awareness about narcissists. And I would encourage anyone who's watching today to get those lists off the internet, read up about them, sit down with your friends, go to coffee and talk about it, start spreading the word, start sharing experiences, bring that out into the light so everyone can see it more and know about it more, and challenge the narcissists that get away with it because they can be so freaking charming that no one would believe that they would be so evil and awful and want to hurt other people. There needs to be a greater awareness, and we have to self-educate ourselves. We're the only people that can do that. No one else can do that for us. We have to be in charge of what we let into our lives and what we want to participate in. So I would just really encourage self-education about this topic and putting that in front of our consciousness so that we can see it more and be able to avoid it sooner instead of getting caught into it and then having to have the pain of getting back out of it. Thank you.
And I'm going to read the fine print. I put it in the chat a couple of times. Thank you to someone who suggested it. By participating in this event, the attendee understands that most of us, are not therapists or medical doctors and are not giving therapeutic or medical advice. The attendee further agrees that information gained from this event is for educational purposes only. Please seek allopathic medical attention or medical health support if needed. The attendee indemnifies MeWe fairs and practitioners from any results related to the application of these educational materials in practice. Thanks so much for supporting our fine print. All right, we are at the end of our time together. So practitioners, let's go ahead and we're going to go around and have you share again who you are, what you do, how people can reach out to you. If you want, you're welcome to share your specials. We'll go in our order related to the way we started. Angela, Olna, Kai, and then I think it's maybe Henry, Lisa, Crystal, Susan, myself. So go ahead, Angela.
Thank you. I'm Angela Myer. Sorry if my cat's being distracting here. It's dinner time for her. So I'm Angela Myer. I'm the author of The Undetected Narcissist, and my website is undetectednarcissist.com. I got so much free resources on there to help people stay safe and to educate them. And I really do it coming from a place of love and wisdom instead of hate, anger, and fear. Because I know that when you're stuck in the hate, anger, and fear, it makes it harder for you to recover and be your authentic self. And so I try to show you the gray area of the situation that you're dealing with. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I do have a YouTube channel and I have a podcast. So there's a bunch of just awesome tools and resources to help people and to get them on the path that they need to be, so you're less likely to run into this situation. So, and I do have a special where you can, if you wanted to do coaching, it's 20% off or $25 off a 30-minute session. So I have that available for people as well. So thank you all for being here, and I really appreciate this opportunity, and I want everyone who's listening to just be safe and make good choices and know that we're all here to support you. If you want to email me or anything like that, you have that opportunity as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Olna's next.
Yeah, I'm Olna Sojourn, and I am an empath coach and an intuitive psychic healer. And my passion is around helping empaths break free from the narcissistic abuse cycle so that they can find clarity instead of confusion and reconnect with their joy, living their most vibrant lives. I have a number of different resources and programs available to help support empaths who are looking to break free from narcissistic abuse. The easiest way to find me and connect with me and the different offerings that I have is through my Instagram account, which is at empoweredempath.us. That's at empoweredempath.us. It's a great hub and has links to my YouTube channel, deep dives into narcissistic abuse, as well as daily content to help support you in breaking free and healing from narcissistic abuse. So find me on Instagram. And I have two specials today for our event. I have a free ebook available to everybody, and it is an 8-page ebook to help you discover 3 surprising signs that your partner is a narcissistic abuser and the number one thing that you can do to regain your power. So it's an active exercise that I recommend for anybody, whether you know your partner is a narcissist or not, looking to break free and step back into your power. So you can download your ebook today, and that is at empoweredempath.us, www.empoweredempath.us, and sign up and click on the link and instantly receive your ebook. My second special today is offering a 25% discount on your Empath Boundary Mastery VIP Day. So this is a private VIP day where you will learn how to have healthy boundaries so that you can enjoy mutually supportive relationships, reconnect with your joy, and quickly spot toxic people. If you're interested in exploring the Empath Boundary Mastery VIP Day, you can reach me at info@healingcollective.us. That's info@healingcollective.us by September 27th. Actually, we'll extend that because the recording will be a little bit longer. Let's say October 7th, and you can book your VIP day in September or October. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Olna. Kai is next.
Hi, my name is Bertrand. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna. My specialty is working with energy, specifically energy healing. And so my contribution to this lovely panel here is that I am in the process of helping people who need to disconnect the energy cords that still remain between them and a narcissist. Because even after they have gone no contact, a lot of times they still have a lot of the feelings that they had before. They still have a lot of the anger, the angst, all that stuff. And it's all related because there's still an energy cord that's attached. So my event special today is my ebook that I wrote, Breaking the Energy Influence of a Narcissist and Other Energy Vampires. It's 20% off with the discount code NEWIBREAK in the at the checkout. And if you'd like to get a hold of me, you can check out my website and my blog, which is handsonfire.buzz.
Thanks, Kai. I think Henry's next.
Okay, so I'm Henry India Holden, and you can find out all kinds of things about me at henryindiaholden.com. And if you want to reach out via email, it's henry@henryindiaholden.com. And so I have a metaphysical consultancy, and I work in a number of different modalities: life coaching, ecotherapy, intuitive tarot, and metaphysical healing. But it's really what I mean by that is embodied healing. And I offer a free 30-minute conversation where we can get to know each other and see if working with each other would work for you, would be something you would want to do. And I have a fresh slate special, which is 3 sessions for $99. And if you want to just have a 1 session in one of these modalities, that would be $65. And where I'm coming from is that you're experiencing what you're experiencing. We all are. And that doesn't mean we're not ultimately sort of in divine reality, that we are whole, wise, and divine. That's sort of the ground of all things. And then we're also manifested as human beings, and we're having the experiences that we're having. And so how I work with people, regardless of which of the modalities we use, is to restore this experience of wholeness, to restore this experience of the self as divine, and to restore the experience of our true, genuine inner wisdom. So it's never not there, but we might not be connected to it. And so the work we do is to restore that. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry. Crystal or Lisa, who's next? I don't even know. You choose.
Well, I want to say it's Lisa, but now that I've unmuted myself, I'll go. My name is Crystal Novak. Do psychic readings. You can reach me at openheartpath.com, openheartpathllc.com. If you want to email me, you can reach me at openheartpathllc@gmail.com. I don't have a special going on, but what I do have is a sliding scale for services, which you're welcome to check out at my site, should you decide to get a reading. The readings that I do come from the divine. When we sit down, literally what happens is it's tailor-made to you, what is ever going on for you in that moment, whether you have a specific question you wish to ask, or if you're just not sure where to start, then we dial into what is actually, again, in that moment happening for you. The information that comes is to be supportive in whatever you're experiencing so that you can have the opportunity to hear and gain more information, and therefore look at what you are holding in your reality that's shaping the things that maybe you wish to change. And this new information allows you to have a perception shift, which in turn then will shift your reality. I'm on this panel today because I believe in supporting healing from narcissism, growing up in a narcissistic environment, and then having that overshadow my relationships as an adult until I got all that stuff untangled. So it's been a pleasure to be on the panel today, and I hope that those of you that participated in the audience got some good stuff and were able to take that with you as a parting gift, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Lisa's next.
Thank you everyone for being here this evening. Thank you, Laureli, and this fantastic panel. I am Lisa Stewart of Co-Create Magic. I call myself a creative mixed medium, and I'm an intuitive business guide. It's my mission to show others how to find the courage to co-create and heal so that you can reconnect with your personal magic. And I encourage you to join Mystic Makers Portal on Meetup. I also create sigils to help with protection and prosperity, perfect for eliminating toxicity in your life. You can find a few on my website to use for your own personal use. I'm also writing a how to create your own sigils for your own healing process. If you want to know when I launch the sigil book, feel free to send me a note with your name and email, and I'll get you on the list. Lastly, Kai and I are creating a workshop to help narcissistic survivors create shields. This will include sigil creating, which is perfect, again, to protect yourself from eliminating toxicity in your life. You can find all of this on my website at cocreatemagic.com. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Susan?
I'm Susan Watkins with Inspired Life Essential Wellness, and you can reach me via email at inspiredlife.service@gmail.com, and you can find out more information on the social medias channels at inspiredlife.essentialwellness, as well as a little mini website of heal.me/inspiredlife. And I offer Reiki services, sound healing, yoga, guided meditation. It really is a holistic practice with regard to whatever it is that the client needs in that moment, that day. This is a journey, and so every day, every practice might be something different. And so I'm here to support you in whatever you need within your healing journey. I also just recently started up a meetup. It's Inspired Life Yoga and Wellness, and there I'm offering a meetup group that combines the 12 steps of recovery, be that dealing with your own addiction behaviors or the addiction behaviors that you've experienced with somebody else, and blending those steps with the somatic yoga and meditation. It's really a beautiful place, so I encourage you to, or invite you to check that out. So whether you're watching this live or watching the replay of it, I hope this information has been helpful and healing to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, matchmaker. I read your eyes, your soul, your body, and help you see how you can get into more alignment with yourself, be honoring and true to yourself and your soul, your purpose, your pathway, whatever that is. You can find out more about me at LaureliShimayo.com. That's LaureliShimayo.com. I'm here running this panel not only as part of MeWe, also because I personally have so much narcissist history in my life, and it's peeling an onion, realizing more and more, and for me getting empowered and more connected to myself more and more all the time. I just learned so much more, even just the last few years, and I know I'm in the middle of still lessons now. So it's peeling the onion and aiming to be me, myself, and teaching, empowering others to do the same in a way that's compassionate and recognizing we're all doing our best. It's our opportunity to make choices of what we do with our time and energy and our contributions. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Let's see. So we have a few more panels on narcissism that are coming up. Let me go grab those. Trying to find the easiest, fastest way to get to these right now. Here we go. So the ones that are coming up are, I feel like it's two more, but let's see. And we do have so many more panels, specifically the ones that are related to this topic. We have Surviving Narcissism During the Holidays. Maybe it's just the one more. That's on Tuesday, November 22 at 5:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, so maybe these are the two that we scheduled that are on narcissism. So in particular, in the holidays, going back to be with our families, some of them are narcissistic. We may have healed a lot, and being back around our families, it just brings up all kinds of stuff. We're usually not the most resourced. So we're going to be sharing about resources for that. We'll answer all kinds of questions about narcissism, just as we did today, healing from narcissism, healing from the abuse and the trauma, holding ourselves, reclaiming our wholeness, as well as we have so many other events happening here with MeWe. You can learn more about all of our events at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. And the most immediate ones coming up, we have an Anything and Everything training panel coming up this Thursday, September 29. So if you have other questions you'd like to ask a panel, you want to support practitioners that are new to stepping on stage, new to modalities, new to their practice, it's 50% off to ask a question of those panels on Thursday. And we've got a ton more going on. Practice circles, online fair, will be in person again in the Seattle area. And please feel free to reach out to the practitioners, take the opportunity of their specials. We'd all appreciate that, and it sustains us to continue to give and be of support of others. Thanks everyone for being here today. Big topic. Thanks for all your support, and thanks so much those of you that ask questions. We deeply appreciate you stepping into your healing more and more.